Hey, welcome back, guys. So this is a quick intro on how to set up Home Assistant on Windows 10 using Hyper-V and how to run HACS. And this is what it could look like in the end with all your devices connected. You do have all your lights monitored by room. You can have your AC, your smart thermostat. You can have, weather set up. You can have speakers under media. You can have all these different servers set up inside there. So let's get started. First off, we need to download our VM. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go to Hyper-V and download that VHDX, which I have not done. So do that really quick. And we're going to download it into, we're just going to D, get Hyper-V, okay, click save. And while that's downloading, we need to do one more thing. So you need to go into Control Panel. And this is if you don't have Hyper-V already installed. You need to go into, I think it's Programs, turn Windows features on. You need to turn on two Windows features. You need to go scroll down till you see this Hyper-V right here, click the check mark. You need to go all the way down to do Windows Hypervisor Platform. I would also recommend doing Windows Subsystem Linux as well while you're at it, but that's really up to you. So it's going to ask you to restart once that's done. We have downloaded our file. As you can see, it's right here. We're going to click on that zip. We're going to unzip it into that folder. So let's do that right now. Once that's done, we can go into our Hyper-V, which you can just search Hyper-V Manager. And we're going to go into here. And we'll click Create New. Okay. Actually, before we do that, let's back up. We need to click on Virtual Switch Manager. You need to create a switch. So I'm going to create a new one. And this is if you're using like you want to give it a standardized IP. So I'm going to click on External, Create Switch. This will essentially use this router or my Wi-Fi to connect me to a new IP in my router. So we'll just name this External. And it's going to take, so we want to make sure whether this is if I was using like my LAN cable, but I'm using Wi-Fi. So I'll just click on this, click on apply. Yes. It's going to apply that setting, set it in our control panel. Okay. Now we're going to go into our new, we're going to click new. We'll click on virtual machine. Next, we're going to click next. Name our virtual machine, we'll name it HA for Home Assistant. And if you want to store it somewhere else, I'm going to store it on my D drive because I have low space on my C drive. So I'm just going to make it D, Hyper-V, select. Next, we're going to want to do generation 2, I think. Let me just double check. So yeah, we're going to select generation 2. We're going to set it, we can just set it to 1024, but dynamic memory, meaning if we have this selected, it'll use RAM as much as needed. But we're going to set the startup as 1024, which is 1 gig. And then whatever else is needed, it'll pull from the RAM. If you don't want to do that, you want to set it to standard like 2048, which is 2 gigs, you can do that and just disable the RAM. But I'm going to keep mine the same and just click Use Dynamic Memory. That way it doesn't bottleneck it. Connection, we're going to make it our external that we set up before in our network switch manager. Okay. Next, we're going to use an existing virtual disk. This is important because this is going to run the install of your Hyper-V VHDX that we downloaded at the start of this. Click on here, HACS OS. So once that's selected, click Next. Okay, now it's confirming the information. We click Finish. Now it's going to create it. Now this is the first install, so we're going to click on Start, right-click it and click Start. Once that's started, you can double-click it and it'll load up a VM window. It's going to go through the start process. Now, after this is done installing, we then need to go back out and change some settings. So I'll go through that when we're ready. I forgot. There's one more thing you need to note. I forgot about this. You need to select Secure Boot. If I can find it. So one thing to note with this is it's going to try to enable Secure Boot. We actually need to go in here and stop it. We need to go into Settings, and we need to disable Secure Boot. So you go to Settings, right-click and go to Settings Secure Boot, and we can click Disable Secure Boot. Apply. Okay. Now we'll try to start it again. It should start up. There we go. So if you have that issue where it just doesn't start, you need to disable Secure Boot. Once that's running, it's going to install all the containers and everything we need to run it. Okay, we just have to, I think, set up our username now once it's ready. It's going to give you the an automatically set IP, so we'll wait for that to load. Sometimes it takes a little bit. There we go. So this is our IP now. As you can see, it's different from my IP on this machine. So we're going to type that in our browser. Okay. Should load Home Assistant. HTTPS, HTTP. I think I'm forgetting the port. Hold on. 8123. So you type in either Home Assistant or your domain, your IP, and 81 colon, sorry, 8123. There we go. So now this takes some time to set up. If you give it a minute or two, it should be done soon. So we'll give that a minute to load up. Okay, so now that it's loaded, we can. It took a few minutes. We can type in our username. So I'll just do Demon Warrior Tech. I'll put in my password and create account. All right, now that we're there, we can just set our home. We can just select anywhere. I mean, I'm just going to select detect it here. And next. We don't need any of the data tracking. You can do it if you want. And then it should set up all your devices where they're locally made. It should auto find all your devices. If not, you can click and add different ones when you get into the UI. But we don't necessarily need that, so we can just click finish. It won't crap out. Okay, so now we log in. Okay, and I just click keep logged in, so I have to log in every time it asks me. All right, I'm going to go back down and click finish. Now that that's done, we're going to go to notifications, make sure there's no updates, which just says discovered some devices. So next we need to install HACS, which is pretty simple, but I always recommend on a fresh install you install two tools. One of them being, if you click on add-ons, we're going to add on store. We're going to install SMB because I'm on Windows. And it's good to have that so you can go in and edit local files if you can't access the web UI. I always recommend this because if you ever have issues accessing the website or the web UI, this is a great backup so you can edit your configs if you're locked out, basically. Um, that's why I absolutely love this setting. So I'm going to install my username. Okay, then we'll save it. You just add any username, any password you want to use. And then we'll go back. We'll click on start. And now if I go to my folder view, I can see that I can view the access file. So I go click, click, or forward slash, I'm sorry, backslash the IP. So that's 192.168.47. Type in the same username I put in before, Demon Warrior Tech. Password. Oh, hold on. Make sure that's correct. Should be correct. There we go. Oh, that's wrong. Something. Oh, because I have two T's. There we go. We'll resave that. Restart add-on. Okay, it's loading the restart. Let's go in there and try it again. There we go. And I'm in here. So next thing we want to do is we want to install SSH so we can install HACS. So let's do that. I'm going to settings again, add-ons. I'm going to add-on store. I'm going to type in SSH. Sometimes you have to add a different resource, so we're going to do that real quick. We're also going to install file editor. That's going to let us edit our config directly in the web UI. It's a very good add-on to use, and I always recommend doing it if you can. Installs. Go back. I got to add a different directory for SSH. So we missing add-ons. Enable advanced mode. You can change all these. We don't need that. We need settings. Add-ons. Okay, so one thing we're going to do is click on these three dots on the add-on store. Click on repositories, and we're going to add a repository. We're going to add HACS. It's right in here. Okay, so I figured out what the problem is. So one thing that we did wrong, if you go to add-ons, you click on add-on store, and you don't see the add-on, click on, you need to enable advanced mode. So we click on this little link. It's going to take us here. We're going to go all the way down till we see, hold on, advanced mode right here. Unlocks advanced features. Click on that. Then we go into settings, add-ons. Now we should see the SSH in here. So click on it. We type in SSH. There we go. And we're going to click on SSH web terminal. Install. So let's try terminal SSH. Okay. And we're going to click start. And we're going to click show in sidebar. I would also recommend file editor. You add in sidebar as well. And I'd recommend Samba doesn't really need to be in the sidebar. So once we've done that, we can go into terminal and we're going to install HACS OS, which is this one. We're going to click wget and it should run the script to get it. So we'll click on again. Okay, so sometimes Control V and right click don't work. So if you click Control Shift V, it'll paste it. So now we can click on that. It's going to pull HACS now. And all we have to do now is just wait for it to run. And since it's ran, now we can go to the next step, which is installing HACS. But remember, we need to restart Home Assistant before we configure it. So let's go into Settings. I'm sorry, click on Developer Tools. Check your config. Good. Nothing prevent from restarting. We'll click Restart. Click Restart again to confirm it. And now you can see it's reloading Home Assistant, so we'll wait for that to load. Okay, it's starting up Home Assistant. Okay, good. Now we can go into Settings, Add-ons, and we should be able to add HACS now. I'll find it. Okay, so you go to settings, integrations, which is, hold on, yeah, device and services. We're going to add HACS. Click on that. Acknowledge all these. And click submit. Now we have this. We have to paste in HACS, which is if we right click this and click open a new tab. Type in our GitHub to log in and we paste that code that they gave us. Right? Now it's authorized. Okay. Now if we go back to this, it should load. And there we go. We're just going to name it, we'll just do HACS. Click add. Finish. Okay. Now that that's done, we can click configure. Enable discovery. Enable that. Okay. Next, now we go into developer tools. I'm sorry, not developer tools. Settings again. And let's go to automations. No, not automations. Go to add-ons. I don't think we need to add this, but I just want to check. HAC. Yep. So now HACS is right here. Now we can set up our front end to have custom theming. So let's say we want to do a custom theme, we can do it in here. Or automations, we can do custom automations like notify updates, HACF, CS notification. We're gonna not do that right now. There's white noise machine for media player entity. So you can play different. There's a bunch of different cool things that are user made. Um, and there's a lot of cool things in there. So take a look at it. One thing I'm going to show you to do is once you have set up your devices, you can set up different rooms and stuff. But we're going to show how to reverse proxies now. So I'll come back with that in a second. Okay, so the only thing you do for reverse proxying is go into your caddy file if you're using caddy and forward like you would normally for the proxy. Okay, then in home assistant settings, you want to go into your file editor, right? Or use SMB and use your file editor you want to use. Click on this little folder icon. And we need to find our configuration.yml. Click on that. Once you're there, I'm going to put this code in the description. You just click and paste this. This is going to allow HTTP to access your base URL, which mine is ha.moviesforyou.stream. You can make it whatever you want, whatever your subdomain is set up for in Caddy or Nginx. Use X4 to true, and then you want to add your IP of the trusted proxy, I mean the trusted domain you're going to use. Like mine is 192.168.1.47. So I'm going to put that so Caddy knows that that's a trusted proxy and it can connect through that. If anything, but we're going to want to set this to our Caddy IP. So if you have more than one IP, you can also do, like this isn't on my Caddy install, but you can do 192.168.1.111, which is also my Caddy IP. So you want both of these set if you are running Caddy on a different machine. If you're running on this machine, just set it with the machine that you're on now. Once you save that, it should propagate it all and set it up. So you should be all set. All you do is usually do a restart. And to check it, before you restart to make sure there's no syntax errors, you want to go to Developer Tools, click on Check Configuration. If it shows, like, for example, if I go into File Editor again, let's say I paste something wrong in here. So let's say I like have this. Let's say I like a mistype. So say that, and we click Save. Now if we go into developer settings or developer tools, we check configuration, see the configuration is wrong, and it'll tell you where it's wrong. So just make sure when you're doing this, you make sure you set that up for success. Because if you don't and you restart, then you're gonna have issues where it's not going to load the web UI, which is when then the SMB comes into play, and it's a lot easier to set up your configurations.yaml with the SMB because that'll still load. Okay. If you guys want to see a custom dashboard, I can show you guys how I made my dashboard. If not, well, comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day.